Diamond Dallas Page in studio, three-time WCW World Champion, two-time WCW United States Champion, four-time WCW Tag Team Champion, and the People's Champion, Diamond Dallas Page. So we talked to you some years ago, 5-6 years ago,
right,
about the yoga and about how it basically saved you. Lost the weight, saved your back, and all that stuff, and then saw the whole Bryant Gumbel thing about how you'd open your doors to a lot of veterans, ex-wrestlers, and guys like that, and basically just save some lives. But you tell us.
Well, more than anything, I was just returning a favor. Because I didn't start wrestling until I was 35. And my career did not take off until I was 40. So that's pretty ancient in the world of wrestling.
Right.
And Jake Roberts, he taught me a lot. He took me under his wing. He mentored me. And I never would have made it to the top, of the mountain without him giving me the knowledge. And over the years, I helped him out. And, you can give someone a fish and give someone a fish and give someone a fish. Finally, you go, hey, dude, I got this really cool fishing pole.
Right.
And basically I called him up and, I've had such success. You mentioned the disabled veteran, Arthur Borman. That's a guy who was 297 pounds, 5'6", walking with knee braces, back brace, and canes.
Right.
In 10 months, the cat lost 140 pounds, lost the canes, the knee braces, and the wraps, and is running. So he's the greatest, Jarrett. For me,
Yeah.
And you can see what's possible. So I called Jake up and said, hey, dude, why don't you give this a try? And I knew he was desolate at the time.
Where he pretty much bottomed out. That's Jake the Dove Roberts, by the way. No, Snake. Jake the Snake at that point was on pain pills.
Everything.
Just on everything.
Crack.
I mean, he was high when you met him at the airport, right?
That was the second time. He'd already been staying with me for a week then. When he came, he was doing crack, coke, drinking, every night, and pilled. Because when you're in that much pain, and that's what, like you said it in the beginning of the show, football players, race cars, wrestlers, we beat our bodies up so much. Well, when they're done chanting your name and you're done making the money, well, all that pain just keeps coming every year.
Right.
So he lived in a lot of pain. So how do you kill it? Plop, plop, drink.
Right. So you went and you knew he was, probably didn't have a year left on this earth if he was going to keep going the way he was going. And you went and collected him. And he came and lived with you, right?
Well, how I did it was first I said, you got to do some of this shit on your own. Because I'm not going to hold your hand. I'm not going to babysit you. I had to see that he was willing to work for it. Mm-hmm. And before it was, as soon as he lost 10 pounds and just eating right. And I'm talking about eating like our great-grandparents ate. Not the shit we eat today. I'm talking about real food. And him moving over to that, he lost 8 pounds in the first 2 weeks. I said, don't do anything else. I'm flying down there. And me and my partner, Steve Yu, we flew down and we started filming him. And I said, listen, I've got this idea. Because Brian mentioned earlier about the Beyond the Mat, mm-hmm. how that was the beginning of the destruction of one of the greatest names in our business, Jake the Snake Roberts, because it showed him, smoking crack and just being so fucked up. And everybody was like, whoa, that's what's happening to Jake? Well, Jake didn't think that was going to end up in a movie.
Right.
And that just, the shame and everything pushed him down farther. I said, this can be your resurrection. So we started filming a documentary, It's Never Too Late, The Resurrection of Jake the Snake. And I went down there, and I got to tell you, man, I didn't know my buddy was as beat up and brittle as he was. He's only 11 months older than me.
Right.
But at the time, he looked like 50 years older than me. And we started the journey with him, and I said to him when I left there that day, you lose another 20 pounds, and I'll move you, because he was 305 pounds and totally bloated.
Right.
And I said, I'll move you to Atlanta, and I'll give you a second life, bro, to come with me. And all I was going to do is guide him. I don't do the work. They do all the work, whoever I work with. And Jake came up. I'm not a rehab center. I'm just a buddy who understands what it's like to be way at that top and then have it all swept away. I just reinvented myself. Most of the guys don't know how to.
How did yoga factor into this?
Well, I'm a guy who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga the first 42 years of my life. But when your career takes off at 40, and then you're on top of the world, and then at 42, I blew my back out so badly that 3 specialists said my career was over. I just signed a multi-million-dollar deal. Done.
Right.
I'll try anything. And I started doing, some classes off a DVD, or back then it was a VHS.
Right.
And I couldn't handle all the spiritual mumbo jumbo. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It just don't work for me,
Right.
So as I started to learn, I started to feel a difference, started to feel some flexibility and some core strength coming back. So I'm still doing rehab. I rehab both shoulder surgeries, both knee surgeries. So I start moving the back rehab and the shoulder stuff into the workout, mixing it with the yoga. Mm-hmm. Then I add in some old school calisthenics, slow burn movement, like where you lower 3, 2, 1, because my back's so blown out, I can't do a push-up.
Right.
So I'm doing it on my knees,
right.
And then holding for 3, and then pushing up 3, 2, 1, then coming down for 3, holding for 3, and go to another, go to cobra to down dog. Eventually, I got off my knees. Eventually, those 3 seconds push-ups became 5, 5 became 10, 10 became sets of 10. My body's getting stronger, but I'm wearing a heart monitor. And I'm realizing that every time I engage or flex a muscle, your heart's got to beat faster to get the blood to the muscle. So when I'm doing those slow burn push-ups, my heart rate's going boom, 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 boom,
right.
Just like you're lifting weights.
Right.
So if I keep that going with the resistance, before I know it, I got a workout that's kick-ass cardio that dramatically increases my flexibility and my core strength with minimal joint impact. In less than 3 months, I was back in the ring.
And it's at this point, by the way, the video is DDP yoga. At this point, you're on to yoga, and you feel like somebody probably has discovered something, and you want to share it with a bunch of guys who may not want to hear about it.
Oh, absolutely. The quote, "He took the path less traveled." Mm-hmm. There was no path. I mean, I didn't make this workout for yogis. They got the 20 million yogis got 1,000 different kinds of yoga. Mine is like way over there. It's dubbed, it ain't your mama's yoga.
Right.
For a reason, to let you know it ain't. There's a punch fist coming through the O. It's like saying, hey, we stand alone over here. Love what you're doing over there, but we're doing something different. I developed it for people who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga. And having guys like Scott Hall, Jake the Snake Roberts, Chuck Zito, he was the Hells Angels president for 25 years. These guys do my workout and love it because no impact, or in this case, minimal joint impact.
Did you consider not putting yoga in the name?
I originally thought that I could call, my workouts were originally called YRG, and it was Yoga Regular Guys. And you would love, I patterned it after the Man Show, the book that we wrote, Yoga for Regular Guys. It was smoking hot chicks and regular guys doing my kind of yoga. And there was positions like bar back, where you roll your shoulders back and it's perfect cleavage shot.
Sure.
So I played on that to get guys in. But then so many women started loving the workout, I had to back off. I used to say, yoga's very namaste. DDP yoga, way more TNA. And then I took it to tone and attitude, because a lot of women love the workout. So, yeah, I developed it for people who wouldn't be caught dead doing it.
Now, when I was watching the Real Sports, and I always want to say Inside Sports, too.
It's Real Sports.
I know, it screws me up every time.
Or as Brian pronounces it, Real Sports.
Yeah.
Tonight on
As
Real
I was
Sports.
watching, I guess they went to your home and they sort of took your living room that you turned into a dojo and had a bunch of dudes all working together. And I think Jake the Snake was maybe living with you at the time.
Yeah, and he still is. At the time, in the beginning, it was just me and Jake. And Jake, he lost 60 pounds in those first 6 months. But more importantly, he could go from standing to the ground without falling.
Right.
Couldn't do a push-up when he started. Then
Right.
he's doing 5-second push-ups.
Now, is he doing, as far as diet, you're saying just ate like our grandparents ate?
Right.
You're not
GMOs. I don't eat GMO.
What's GMO?
Genetically modified foods.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that's been genetically modified. I just saw the thing I took onto my DDP Yoga Facebook, because it said, eating healthy is expensive. And then right next to it said, seen the cost of cancer lately?
Right.
Heart disease, diabetes.
So
it's not that expensive.
What is breakfast? What is lunch? What is dinner?
Well, for me, because I'm trying to keep my weight, I wake up, I have, there's a company called Namaste. They're not into yoga or anything, but they make an amazing, not gluten-free, completely allergenic-free, amazing waffle mix. They have brownies and cupcakes, all that kind of stuff you love to eat.
Right.
And I got a sweet tooth, but it's real food. It's made from sweet brown rice. So I'll have this big-ass waffle with blueberries and organic maple syrup and 8 eggs.
If you put ice cream on it, Greg Kinnear will not be happy. that much we discussed. How many eggs?
8.
8. And
5 yolks. And the rest 3 whites. So it's 3. It's like 5 huge fried eggs.
I love the guys who have the diets like they live at the zoo. You know what I mean? Where you go, what's the hippo eat? Well, we take 15 bales of, So, and what's Jake the snake doing? And what's he eating besides snake?
He's more like probably eating like an omelet that's got vegetables in it and stuff. Mm-hmm. And everything in my house, like we don't eat. Have you ever seen the movie Food Inc.?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then you know that
right.
If one of my buddies is out there, Moser, and he goes, I just had some of that grass-fed beef. He goes, I can't believe how much different it tastes. I said, dude, that's the shit your great-grandpa ate.
Right.
Like cows. Here's a concept. Let's feed them grass.
Right.
But we don't do that. We feed them corn.
So are you guys, well, first off, what's going on with the, girlfriends, wives, things like that? Because you guys sitting around eating omelets all day in a down dog position. I think my wife would be pissed.
Well, my girl just moved in with me, so now it went from a fraternity, which was me, Scott, Jake, his son Cody, my daughter Brittany was there too, and then Scott and Cody went out and got their own place down the road because he's got a great spot right now. He's down a bunch of weight and he feels great, and he had a hip replacement, so he's on the way in a positive spot. And 6 or 8 months sober, which is really positive considering he was drinking himself to death. And my girlfriend and her 12-year-old just moved in. It sort of changed the complexity of the house.
It's amazing how elastic we can be, so spiritually, emotionally, physically, but how fast you can fuck yourself up, and also how fast you can pull yourself out of the fucked up moat as well. It's the weirdest thing in the world when you see somebody, you'll see some guy and you'll go, that guy's 77 years old, but he looks like he's 26. I mean, fantastic, vibrant, great. And then you'll see that guy 2 months later, he took a spill in the bathroom, he broke his hip, he was in bed for the last 7 weeks, and he doesn't look like the same human being. It's like his hair went grayer, no grip in his hand anymore. It's like frail. Like you go, how fast it goes.
That's the less inspirational version.
Yes,
it's better to see it when it goes the other way.
No, then you take the guy and you go, look, I just stopped drinking 3 or 4 sodas a day, and I started walking everywhere, and I started taking the stairs instead of the elevator, and I'm getting up in the morning, and I'm meditating for 20 minutes, and all of a sudden that guy's just done a total 180 or as most of my friends from the Valley would say, he's done a total 360 and ended up back where he was. But it is insane how we're all 4 months away from, put the booze down or put this down or process that down or just start working this thing. I mean, we're not, it's not 4 years. It's 7 weeks for most people. Yeah. It's insane how fast you can turn it around and sort of how little of it we do considering it's your life. I mean, considering how impactful it is in your life. It's weird. I never really thought about how neglectful we are with our own lives. I know how neglectful we are with other people's lives. We all know that feeling of sort of, we talked about driving down the street, seeing the homeless guy and going, that poor son of a bitch. But what about you and whatever you're doing with your life? You haven't maybe turned it the way. I mean, I hear guys come in and talk about these diets and talk about yoga and stuff. I drive by the homeless guy and go, poor son of a bitch. But I don't do the diet and I don't do the yoga. I could turn whatever I wanted to turn around as well. It's interesting how, and I don't know what culture does the most of it, but how we don't do that with our own lives and our own just sort of habitual nature.
Because I think that we don't really, on some level, we don't really believe it'll work, or those 7 weeks that seem so fast when you're watching it happen to someone else seem really long for you. Or you have to be in a lot of pain to want to change.
I think ultimately we are attracted to the familiar, even if the familiar is horrible, like the familiar job, the familiar spouse, the familiar whatever, dad was an alcoholic and now I've married an alcoholic. And you go, why would you marry an alcoholic if you know firsthand just the horrors of being raised by an alcoholic? Right. And why would you raise and the answer is familiar. Just even the notion of, you see people who live on just a shitty part of town and they live in an apartment in a shitty part of town. And you go, for an extra couple of bucks, you could move into a not moving into Beverly Hills, but you could move into a decent place in a decent part of town for another $150. You're not going to have an ocean view. Why are you living there? Why not just? And you just realize,
on a much smaller level, think about, and I'm talking about myself now, how many times there's like a pile of clutter that every day you walk by and you think, it bothers me that that's there, but then you don't move it.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm talking about Daniel.
I'm talking about my twins. Yeah.
Do you know who? You know what you do take care of, though?
My hair?
Your car.
Yeah.
You're not going to put shit in your car.
I know.
But you'll put shit in your body all day long. You won't take care of your body until all of a sudden the doctor goes, you know what? You're going to fucking die. You go, oh, God, I can stop smoking right now. I can stop eating that shit. Please don't kill me. Well, then stop treating it. My goal is to get people to think ahead of that curve. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, they don't have the time. They think it's too hard. I make DDP yoga the easiest thing you've ever done or the hardest thing. You choose, because it's the same workout. There's someone modifying and there's someone not. And then I'm in the middle doing it, and make it fun.
You can go to the website, by the way. It's ddpyoga.com.